So in today's lesson, this is lesson 4, so it's Monday, and we are looking at themes and issues of the play pronoun. But first of all, we did a recap of the lesson before and just a general feedback on pronoun. So, what have you achieved from the auditions? I have achieved confidence with doing the auditions and going for different characters that I wouldn't actually go for, and experimenting with different characters so then I can develop my skills as well and show that I can be a versatile actor as well. Even though I didn't get a Dean or Danny, I ended up getting Dean, and that is still a challenge as well. I wouldn't say I'm a high maintenance character, and I still am going to have fun doing it. I can see Amy, when I read the play, a bit comedic, and I don't usually do a lot of comedic characters, so it's going to be nice to experiment more with Amy as well, and just taking a risk with it and just having fun, as this is going to be my last character at Warrington Collegiate. Also, I learned just having different interpretations of different characters as well. So just going throughout the whole play, well, not the whole play, just like different scenes that we've been looking for at the auditions, and going, okay, so I can see this character being like this, and I can see all the different relationships that this character has with so and so, and how this person reacts at this time as well. What would you do differently? I still would look at Dean a bit more with the mannerisms and the way that he uses his voice. Also the way that his relationship is with Danny. Within it, I feel like he's not bothered at times, but yet he's holding back. He doesn't want to tell her. So it's not like he's not bothered, he's just don't want to open up to her. So I want to make sure if I was going to do that scene, I would be a bit awkward within the scenes, and overall most scenes that Dean's in, he's a bit awkward in, because it's like he's scared to open up to people and be who he really wants to be, because he's scared of what people is going to say. What does pronoun mean? Pronoun means it takes the place of a noun, so it's your he, she, they, I, all those words. Why did Evan Placey name his play Pronoun? I think Evan Placey wrote this, called this play Pronoun, because it is about transgender. This is transitioning from one sex to the other. I feel like a lot of people get scared when they meet like a transgender person, and what do you call it? What pronoun do you use? And it just get a bit confusing at times. So I know that in lessons we split up a bit and we call Dean she, and it's like, oh, is that the right pronoun? So yeah, I think it's just like a clever way of telling the story as well. So yeah, so you can see the transitioning of a character. What do you believe Placey is trying to address? I think he's trying to address understanding and the experience and the transition that people go through, like the transgender community go through. Transgender is something that is very current and you see a lot of, but yet you don't really know a lot about it. Like, you don't understand how they go through and how it also affects the family and the friends, and the whole transition and how long it takes as well. So I think it's just trying to address that and say, this happens a lot, this is going on in our society right now, and this is what people feel like. I mean, we should have a general understanding of what people are going through, because one day it might happen to one of us, and someone that we know might say that I'm a transgender, and how would you cope with that, and how would we react to it as well. What is transgender? I think transgender is one person who is one sex and is transitioning to the other. So they feel physically they are one sex, but emotionally and in the heart and in the brain and in their soul they feel like they're the other, so then they transition into the other one. In today's lesson, we were looking at Stanislavski's technique of effective cognition. So this is when we, as a cast, get together, we read the play, we go into it in more detail, we pick out different questions and facts that we're not too sure on, and then we address. So we first picked out, once we read them, what is pronoun's intention. We came up with a couple before we came up with the actual one. So the ones that we came up with was self-identification, normalism, accept, choices, and educated. We came up with our intention to be educated because within the whole play it's telling people about this transition and how one of these transgender people go through and how they feel, but also how society reacts to it and their friends and the families. And overall we're getting educated on this topic because we're not all like have all the facts about it. We don't know everything about it because we don't all go through it. So we're all getting educated by watching this performance. We also came up with the themes and issues within the play. So the themes that we got was acceptance, choices, love, relationships, responsibility, gender, and change. So with acceptance, you see this throughout the play because you're always trying to, it's like Dean's trying to accept himself, but you also see different characters trying to accept him too. So this is seen a lot within the mum and dad scene because they're trying to understand him, they're trying to accept him because obviously it's their son and they want to understand what he's going through. And also Danny, she's trying to accept it, but she's too confused and she doesn't understand it a lot. Choices is another one because it's Dean's choice to go through this transition. You also see choices with Josh as well, trying to he makes the choice of wanting to be with Dean, staying with Dean, and love, because you see Amy and Kyle, they get married into the play. You also see Josh and Dean, who's in a relationship as well. Also with the mum and dad, they end up getting a divorce, so you understand, you see love throughout the play. Relationships, a whole different lot of relationships. So you get the mum and dad, Dean and Josh, Dean and Laura, that's like a bit awkward at times. You have Amy, Laura and Dean at scene 4 and how they would react, like the best mates. You've got like the whole cast apart from the mum and dad and Danny. So that's Amy, Kyle, Josh, Dean, Laura. They're a whole bunch of friends. So you see like the relationship between them. We also got responsibilities, so it runs throughout, so you hear that Dean's got a job, he's responsible for that, and responsible also getting the money to get an operation as well. Responsibility as well is when Amy and Kyle are getting married, they're being responsible, they're taking that next step of becoming like a family and getting married, and that takes a lot of responsibility as well. It means that like they're growing up and they'll have to start being responsible. Gender is one of them because throughout it talks about obviously Dean being one gender and wanting to be the other, and that's just a running theme throughout. And also with the mum and dad as well. The mum at the beginning is the dad, and then the dad's the mum, and then they switch back over to what they actually are, and to show like they're trying to understand what Dean's going through. And then change as well because Dean's changing and relationships are changing, and it's trying to get a hold of them and trying to understand them. The issues within the play are self-harm, suicide, stealing, bullying and underage drinking. So within self-harm it's mentioned that Dean used to self-harm. It's telling people about when they mention that Dean self-harms, that they go and get him help, like he goes to the doctors and there is people there to help. Also with the suicide, it mentions that they went to see doctors again and that there is like help out there. So people who are watching the play and they're having troubles like that, then they are aware that there is help out there. Stealing, it mentions that it's that Dean and Danny used to steal clothes. So within Dean, he has a reason, and then Danny did it because she thought she wanted to know she can get away with it. But also there's consequences stealing and that it's not good. Underage drinking. So at the Glastonbury scene, which is scene 4, they mention that they are underage drinking and it is a bad thing. They shouldn't be underage drinking, and overall you shouldn't do it anyway. Yeah, so that's what we did today. Some of the questions within the scenes that we didn't understand was like, it mentions at the beginning who is Joan of Arc. So doing research within that, Joan of Arc was a French woman in the medieval times who believed that God picked her to go out and fight in the war. She was then captured and then she was burnt alive. Another one was what did Dean do at school? In the play it mentions, there's a line that Danny says that she stood up for Dean when something happened in primary school with a boy called Brad, but we don't get back to that. We don't understand what happened there. So I think that is something that the audience members need to think for themselves, because we don't bring it up, and then it's kind of annoying because you don't know, but just thinking about it, you can make it up for yourself as an audience member. So you can't really answer that question. My strength for today was by reading the play more as a whole and using Stanislavski techniques. I have a general understanding of my character now. So I haven't auditioned for Amy and I didn't look at objectives and issues and the different relationships that she had with different characters, but now I'm starting to understand her more and how I want to kind of portray her in the play. My weakness would be, I guess I wasn't really contributing a lot with all the different themes and issues. Sometimes I get dead confused on which one's a theme and which one's an issue. But after doing that lesson today, I understand it more and I understand why, which one's a theme and which one's an issue and why it's been addressed in the play.